can I get your name just for the record here?
Jeff Otis.
Okay, so if I wouldn't have pulled over to the side of the road because you had your emergency lights on, what would have happened?
I would have followed you for a while to see if you'd pull over.
Okay, and if I wouldn't have pulled over, you just would have let me go?
I would have assessed the situation. Can I see your driver's license, please?
Oh, well, I don't know why you're requiring this. I haven't done anything wrong.
You can't give me the right to be a human being. I'm fine with that right. Now you can keep me from having that if you've got all the policemen and all the jobs on your side.
Hey y'all, what you just saw was the beginning of a video of me getting pulled over by the Washington State Patrol after I had dropped my kids off at their mom's house last week. And I've been fairly open with this in the community. I don't have a license to operate a motor vehicle because I do not operate a motor vehicle in the state of Washington or any other state for that matter. So that's why I don't have a license to do so. That being said, that's what this video is about. That's not why I was pulled over. That's what this video is about. And if you're going to do things like that, make sure this was my mistake in here. Usually I have this camera that is recording me right now in the car with me. However, on this occasion I didn't have it with me. I only had my crappy cell phone camera, or my cell phone, which I don't really use as a cell phone. I don't have service anymore. I just use Wi-Fi. And I was relying on the camera on that, and it's a pretty bad cell phone. It doesn't really work that well, so I know better than to rely on that, but that's all I had at the time. And so the little clip you saw there was at the beginning when I first finally got it turned on. It took me a while to get it turned on. And then I thought it was plugged in, so it didn't need a charge. However, apparently it wasn't plugged in correctly, so it gave me an error and stopped the recording. So then there was maybe 2 or 3 minutes of me talking with the officer, the trooper, that you don't get to see in this video. So that was my mistake, and I want you guys to learn from that and make sure you have a way to, if you're going to do something like operate a vehicle, well, let's back up. If you're going to do something like use an automobile on the public roadways in your state or any other state, you're going to want to make sure that you have a way to document when one of these policy enforcers uses their emergency lights to get you to stop your travels, and then intimidates you and uses the threat of violence to try to force you to hand over your freedom. So you need to make sure you document that, and I didn't do that properly. One of the other things is, everybody says not to answer questions, and that is one of the first things I said as the trooper came up and he had pulled me over, was that I wasn't going to answer any questions. I barely unrolled the window as he knocked on it. And then, he asked me for I can't remember how it initially went, the initial conversation, but, it's typical. He asked me some sort of question. I said I wasn't going to, answer any questions. So then he went towards, why he pulled me over. And that went into me questioning him. So I think it's okay to talk. Make sure you don't answer any questions, and be very careful when you do talk to not give up any information that could incriminate you. So that's why a lot of people say not to talk, so you don't do that. And in general, that is the smartest thing to do. But also, I know a few things myself as far as in the state of Washington and how to fight when you get a ticket in court, and make it easier because it gives you several different options. So I took that knowledge and tried to apply that here. Sorry, I'm just looking around to make sure I don't get hit by a car. I'm just walking on the road in my neighborhood here. And I asked him some questions about what he was doing, why he pulled me over. I asked him, you have your emergency lights on, what's the emergency? Is there an emergency? Once he said there wasn't an emergency, then I asked him, again, he asked me my name, can I have your license? And I said, well, I don't feel like I need to do that. You haven't told me I've done anything wrong yet. And so I asked him, I said, again, your emergency lights are on. Is there something wrong? Can I help you? So, this is establishing right away, I'm not a threat to him or anything like that. I'm actually saying, can I help? Is there something going on? So it's important. That's the reason at least I do that anyways, is to set that kind of right up front. I'm not a threat. I'm not an issue. I'm just making sure there's nothing going on that I can't help out with. And how can I if there's something going on? One reason I think this is important is kind of gets them off their game a little bit. These guys are used to coming up, basically saying, this is why I pulled you over, asking you their questions in order to try to see if they can, write you up on any other violations. So it's important if you can throw them off their game. They're not as confident. They don't feel as comfortable with what they're doing. So they'll make mistakes. And anytime they make a mistake, that's good for you. And like I said, when you're doing that, though, the most important thing is if you're going to ask questions, that's okay. And it's good to do that, to ask questions about what they're doing, the ethics about what they're doing. Like, that's why I was asking, like, well, so what happens if I leave? Are you going to, push my car to the side of the road with yours? Are you going to damage my property? Are you going to shoot me? Like, what's going to happen? And that really puts it back on them. Like, what am I going to do if this guy leaves? And that's why this officer, when I asked him that, he said, well, I don't know. I'll assess the situation. And one thing I want to address real quick is initially I told him I wasn't going to give him my name or my date of birth, my address, any of that information, because I told him I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't hurt anyone or anything like that. And he started to get agitated, and he told me, look, sir, I've been patient with you. And so I started to get agitated. You can tell in his voice he started to get agitated, and that's why I'm disappointed this part wasn't on camera. I thought I was recording it. He started to get agitated, and at that point, I felt like, look, he's got a gun, he's got a badge, he's got a taser, and he's not recording this. I already knew that. So I felt like in order, for self-preservation, for me to stay out of a cage, since he was calm at this point, I didn't want to get thrown in a dungeon. I felt like if I at least just gave him my name and my address, I didn't give him my date of birth, but I gave him my name and my address. I told him that was enough. So you got to read the situation too, depending on what your goal is. If my goal was to go get thrown in a dungeon and strip searched and all that, then maybe I shouldn't have given him my name and address. But I didn't really want to go to a dungeon that night. I usually don't want to, so that's why I gave up my name in the fashion I did. But I made sure that he understood that the only reason I did was because he was agitated, he had a gun, and I didn't feel comfortable with leaving the situation and him not trying to harm me even though I hadn't done anything wrong. Before I play the rest of what I have on video here, I just want to repeat, like I said, it's really important to assess the situation. And, if they start getting really agitated, then you might have to change how you're dealing with things too. The situation evolves as you're going through it. So make sure you really pay attention to that and, what's going on around you as you're doing this. And if you're not comfortable doing that, then maybe you do just need to hand them your ID and give them that information until you feel comfortable standing up in the correct manner. You just have to, understand what's important to you. With that, I'm going to show you the rest of the video. So I hope you guys get something from this. Like I said, the most important thing you should get from it is if you are going to do something like this and stand up to the tyranny of our government, then make sure you have a way to document it better than what I did. Until next time, remember to live free.
So again here, the recording stopped, but he's here threatening violence against me. I haven't done anything wrong. He said I'm not free to go. Is that correct? Can we confirm that?
Proof of insurance, please?
Can you answer that? You said I'm not free to go. Is that correct? Okay, so this is the only reason I've given you any information. We've established that I'm just traveling in my automobile on a public roadway. I've made that statement. You've provided no other information that I'm not.
Can I see your proof of insurance?
I'm not giving you anything else because you haven't provided anything that I've done wrong.
I'll bear with you.
Yes. All right, so I gave him reluctantly my name and other information. He pulled me over, said I had expired tabs. Got behind me. He's in an unmarked vehicle, completely unmarked. He says he's a captain. I refused to answer any questions. He said that I'm driving, all this stuff. I told him I was just using my automobile on a public roadway because he's threatening violence against me. I'm very nervous. Okay, so I'm going to be giving him this here. This is 46.08.65 publicly owned vehicles to be marked, exemptions for Washington State Patrol. For general or undercover or confidential investigative purposes, traffic control vehicles of the State Patrol may be exempted from the requirements of subsection 2 of this section at the discretion of the Chief of the Washington State Patrol. So they're still back there. I'm just going to pause it for a second again. You can see them maybe in the rear view mirror there. Okay, so the other thing is I don't have my receipt booklet yet, but he is requiring me to stop and enter into a contract with him, and I don't consent to this, so I will be sending a bill. So here's an itemized list of everything he asked me for that I was required to contract under. So if I'm required into a contract, then I need to be compensated for my time. So I will be sending a bill. He stopped me. He wouldn't let me go. He already confirmed that. He detained me, and then he asked me for my name, my date of birth, and my address. So I'm going to be giving him this. I need to get his address and everything.
Right, so you've got a camera, just so you're aware, so without doing video recording this. I'm going to be a break on the vehicle license, same thing I do with everybody. However, I'm going to issue a notice of infraction for failing to provide proof of insurance, and your privilege to drive is suspended. So.
Oh, well, did I say I was driving?
What's that?
Did I say I was driving?
I saw you driving, sir.
No, did I say I was driving? You saw me driving. That's a legal term, right?
Criminal citation issued in Spokane County for driving license suspended. Prosecutor contact within 15 days. If you don't hear from me, contact and a notice of infraction to Spokane County.
Can you remove your hand? So, hey, can I get your name one more time here?
For a driver, sir.
Can I get your name and date of birth? Am I free to go, or are you going to shoot me? Hey, am I free to go? Am I free to go? Am I free?
Like I said, I hope you guys got something from that interaction, at least at how to maybe interact with these enforcers, these policy enforcers of the state. I will be keeping you updated on what's going on with this. So just to let you know, I didn't give him any proof of insurance because I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't need to provide that. If I had caused damage to someone, then I would have given that person my insurance. But nothing happened, so why would I provide them with my insurance? That's ridiculous. They don't need to see that. That's another information. That's private. That's for me and whoever I caused damage to. But it literally says on the ticket there, I'll show you on the screen right now, that you can't go to jail for that. So why would I care about that? That's silly. That's just like a little like, we want you to do this. It's a request. So I'm not going to be fulfilling that. I might fight that. We'll see. I might contest it in court, or I might just say, screw it. I'm not going to do anything about it. We'll see how I want to handle that. So as far as driving without privileges or operating a vehicle without privileges, I can't remember how it's worded in the state of Washington. Because I was issued a citation for that. Well, see, that's what I'm getting into. It wasn't issued a citation, it was a draft. So it was referred to the prosecutor, which means the prosecutor's probably going to issue a citation and summons the court. So then I'll update you guys at that point. But at this point, it's just a draft. So I just want to give you guys an update of what's going on. And pay attention to the channel. I've got a few other updates on some other things going on to let you guys know about. So have a good rest of your day.